The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hey! A triple feature, 3 films up on the screen. One's a little heavy, one's a little sleek, and one's just caught between. We'll laugh and cry and overanalyze, dig through themes with wide, wild eyes. Grab some popcorn, take your seat. 3 times the fun, 3 times the treat. Hey, a triple feature. That's what we're here to do. What we're here to do. Buckle up, the lights go down, and we'll watch them all with you.
Welcome back to the show that never ends. This is Triple Feature. I am your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm horrified. And Kat is back. Hello, Kat.
Greetings and salutations. Oh, hi, Mark. Oh, hi, Mark. Hi, Sean. Shit, how y'all doing?
That's right. Sean Comer is back. How do you do, sir?
Hey, I am cooler than a polar bear's toenails.
All right. Well, glad to be back with you guys. We took Sean, you and I did a couple of shows. We did one show in June, and then we took July off, and now we're back.
Yeah.
I think you're on at least one show. This is coming up in August, actually. Kat will be on quite a few, but you'll be
I'm
on
excited.
at least 1 or 2 triple features, I think, for the rest of the year, if I recall. But tonight on Triple Feature, we're turning the spotlight on Molly Ringwald through 3 films that capture the rise, strain, and collapse of her iconic teenage screen persona. Pretty in Pink. Hang on. Pretty in Pink places her at the center of a class-conscious romance where style, poverty, and social humiliation matter as much as love. The pickup artist tries to move her into adult sexuality, pairing her with Robert Downey Jr. in a strange collision of screwball courtship, gambling debt, and urban menace. For Keeps pushes her further, using teen pregnancy, marriage, and economic pressure to test whether intelligence and determination are enough to survive adulthood. Across all 3 films, Ringwald plays young women forced to become more responsible than the men around them, often while managing absent, broken, or unreliable fathers. We discuss why she became the defining female face of the 1980s teen cinema, how these movies have aged, and whether Hollywood has ever understood what truly made her such a compelling star. All right. With that out of the way, I will reveal to you my familiarity with these films and why I somewhat wanted to do this. And then I'll go round table with you two, and then we'll jump into the pickup to the Pretty in Pink. I thought I had seen Pretty in Pink, but knowing me, you know, I'd seen Molly Ringwald in the Breakfast Club. I'd seen her in 16 Candles and said, okay, I've had enough of Molly Ringwald. And just knew the song real well. Been singing it for the last 2 weeks. But I think that was one I just actively avoided. So this was a first watch for me. The pickup artist I saw when it came out, I was mesmerized, even as a young kid, by Robert Downey Jr. and the whole concept of harassing women in the street. That has aged like milk, all things considered.
Oh, boy, hasn't ever.
But back then, I was very much like, is that how it's done? Is that how you get women, RDJ? So as a kid, I loved the concept of the pickup artist. Boy, did I not remember 2/3 of that movie, though. I remember Robert Downey Jr. harassing women in the street, and that was all I remembered. And then I've never seen For Keeps that I recall. That was a suggestion by Kat. So I'll go to you first, Kat. What's your experience, relationship with these films?
Okay, so I remember seeing Pretty in Pink several times in my childhood. So for a little bit of background on me, I am the youngest of 4. And there's a lot of distance in age between especially my 2 older siblings and myself. Like my sister is Molly Ringwald's age, right?
Okay.
Like, not even kidding. So because she was, mildly obsessed with John Hughes movies, I became mildly obsessed with John Hughes movies. So I've seen all of them. I've seen 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, um, Pretty in Pink, Uncle Buck. Just name one. I've probably seen it a dozen times.
Mm-hmm.
As for the pickup artist, I've seen that a few times. I love Robert Downey Jr. Like, this is the Robert Downey Jr. that I grew up in.
Yeah.
Him in Weird Science, him in this, him in Tough Turf. So, and he's so cute, even though, like now as a 40-year-old woman, his character in The Pickup Artist squicks me out real bad.
Oh yeah, as he should.
Yeah. Four Keeps is probably my favorite of this lineup. I saw it when I was probably 9 or 10 the first time. Like, I love when teen movies deal with actual adult themes realistically, and this feels really down to earth. What would happen if, like, the golden couple has a baby, and how they navigate that, and how they navigate their families, and having to kind of defer their dreams a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm excited about this.
Awesome. Sean, your relationship to these movies, and then we'll jump into Pretty in Pink.
Well, thanks to this podcast, I now know that The Pickup Artist and For Keeps exist. That was not a thing before the show.
Okay.
Well, look, you have to understand, and we joke about the drinking game on the show. Well, we might as well add this one. Add one for every time Sean missed out on some formative shit that everyone else experienced growing up because he grew up in an uber conservative household.
Fair.
I, to be honest, did not really watch a whole lot of John Hughes movies except for Uncle Buck, Home Alone, and I think catching The Breakfast Club on TV a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Really until I was an adult and way beyond kind of the target age for these movies. But I've kind of seen enough now to know that a lot of times, and I don't want to say this as the knock I'm afraid it's going to come off as, and I apologize duly and sincerely for it. But if you've seen Molly Ringwald in one John Hughes movie, you have seen Molly Ringwald in goddamn near every John Hughes movie.
Wow.
Hang on. It's okay to have preferences. I understand, and I'm sure there's nuance that I'm missing.
I'm gonna go over here now.
It's just that I kind of tend to sometimes write her off as one trick pony, but it's a really fucking good trick. She's at least entertaining in everything. I'll give her that. But just, it was really, I think I was really kind of more refreshed by seeing her in The Pickup Artist and For Keeps because it was a side of her that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
It was at least something fresh.
That's fair.
Let's get into Pretty in Pink. I'm not going to do a very long cat until I call on you. I'm going to mute you. Okay. Pretty in Pink is one of those. We're going to follow these characters through what approximates an arc, what approximates a storyline, because it's really. We meet this girl. She's taking care of her dad. She has a mod friend named Ducky, and she works at a record store, and she makes her own clothing because they don't have a lot of money, but she also has a sense of style. And she likes the rich kid in school. She also rebuffs the other rich kid in school, a young James Spader, a pre-Ultron James Spader, if you will. I see him now in things like Boston Legal or something, and I'm like, holy crap, I can't believe that's the same guy. So James Spader likes Molly Ringwald. She rebuffs him, but she's really into Andrew McCarthy. Let me have that name right. Um, yeah, Andrew McCarthy. And he likes her too, but one's from uptown, one's from downtown, and the cultures are, have a brimming hostility with each other. And so, as far as plot points go, they do go on a date. It goes poorly. He is chastised by his rich friends, specifically James Spader. She is chastised by her friend. Andrew McCarthy blows her off after having asked her to the prom. She ends up making amends with a rebuffed and annoyed Ducky, who has professed his love to her, and that did not go his way. So he ends up taking her to the prom. At which point Andrew McCarthy is there, and he makes amends with her. And Ducky says, "Go be with the one who you truly love. I understand. To be your friend is to understand that we should not be together because that's not how you like me." And so she goes off with the character's name is Blaine. She goes off with Blaine, and that's Pretty in Pink. The plot synopsis doesn't really do the movie justice because the movie is an editorial about, I wouldn't say class warfare, but definitely, like, as I said before, class hostility. There's a very much sort of a unspoken caste system of you stay on your side of the fence, we'll stay on our side of the fence, and as long as nobody crosses the boundary, we'll all get along here just fine. And then, you have two kids expressing their feelings for each other, mucking up the social order of the day, and the consequences therein. That's pretty much the reason I like the movie. I like that it speaks to that level of class hostility. I like that Molly Ringwald's a pretty complex character in this. She doesn't appear so, and maybe to say that makes people go like, "What the hell?" But here's a girl who is not necessarily ashamed by where she comes from, but she knows that it is ripe for ridicule by the class of people, some of which she does like. Like, she likes Blaine, but she knows that there's a possibility that Blaine will look down on her, as James Spader has. And so she's wrestling with that. She's also trying to get her father to get over the loss of, not by death, by divorce, of his wife, her mother. He is sort of stuck in the place and time where his wife left him, and she has been trying to get him motivated. So she's parenting the parent, which is, psychologically never a good thing. So she's got a lot of things going on. And Molly Ringwald, Sean said, "Hey, once you've seen the one Molly Ringwald trick, you've kind of seen them all." Okay. My one sort of rebuttal to that would be, I think that's a surface reading of Molly Ringwald. I think every movie asked her to do something different. 16 Candles was asking her to do something different than Pretty in Pink.
I do have more to add, I swear. I swear I have more to add to that.
You're a good boy, Sean. No one's faulting you. I think 16 Candles was asking of her something different than Pretty in Pink is asking of her, and Pretty in Pink was asking something of her that For Keeps is asking. So yes, Molly Ringwald she's kind of like the many faces of Darth Vader. You kind of get one presentation of her, but with that one presentation, she's tackling a different monster, if you will. So her reactions are somewhat different. She's also playing different ages. Like 16 Candles, it felt like she was, playing slightly younger than she is in Pretty in Pink, than she is obviously in The Pickup Artist and For Keeps. I'll say this, and then I'm going to give it over to Kat for her thoughts. It's an okay movie. I think what it's talking about elevates it past the point of its actual presentation. I think as a presentation, look, not every movie has to be The Shawshank Redemption. So let's throw that right out. Let's not even look at it from that point of view. I'm allowed to say it's an okay movie, but its subject matter makes it an interesting watch more so than what actually happens in the movie. What happens in the movie is it's kind of like 16 Candles. You're just following these kids around for an hour and a half until the situation, the central conflict resolves itself. Everybody here does a par performance, Molly Ringwald, I think, is inherently interesting. Andrew McCarthy plays conflicted well. James Spader, who will become Ultron at some point, is a dick, and he plays a dick well. And John Cryer, every time I look at him, I just think that's Lex Luthor. John Cryer, I have to say, actually, this might be my favorite John Cryer role. He has that confidence where you've pushed a nerd way too far, and now he's an obnoxious mod. That's the kind of confidence he has, where he's he can't be a bully. He's not a tough person. He's not a jock. But he's not sociopathic either. He's just brimming with I don't give a fuck confidence. And I admire that. And I think John Cryer did that very well. Kat, your thoughts on Pretty in Pink?
Okay, well, let's see, shall we? Let's just go down the line. Watching this movie as an adult, I see more and more of my older sister in this. She was also the super smart, driven kid. She also knew how to sew and would sew really, really well, and would make her own outfits and make me outfits and yada, yada, yada. Ducky, see, I always thought that he was a rude boy. I thought that he was into ska, not mod, considering that those white, dirty ass brothel creatures. Yeah. And the bowler, is it a bowler? It doesn't matter.
He's wearing Andrew McCarthy. Hat.
Yes, he's wearing a fun hat. Andrew McCarthy is, for me, he's always been kind of bland to me. James Spader is one of my favorite people ever, or one of my favorite actors ever, because he does play a really good villain. And this begins a trend where he just bullies Andrew McCarthy, or no, tells him what to do because it's this, and then right after it's less than zero.
I fucking love The Blacklist. Bite me.
I do too. Don't get me wrong. He's I have my issues with that show, but he's never one of them.
No.
Annie Potts. Let's talk about Annie Potts for a second. She's the unsung hero. Yes. I fucking love her. I love her style.
In general, we do not talk about Annie Potts enough.
I know.
Designing Women podcast win.
She has such great looks in this movie.
Yes, she does.
Of all the looks I've seen her in, all the ones in this movie, she looks awesome.
Right. Yeah. And she looks so different in each and every look, which I love. And my favorite was the one with that white wig.
Mm-hmm.
And the boat neck dress, or the one where she's in her prom dress with the big, tall, bouffant hair.
Yeah.
Love that. And can we talk about the dress that Andy makes in this movie? I'm a quote. So a great woman once said, "Mama, this is garbage," because it is. It's this is less than the sum of their parts. And I know that you guys will not care about this because you guys are dudes, but that dress is fucking garbage. I'm actually shocked that she didn't get laughed out of the prom with that.
I care.
Okay, well, cool. It's you took a beautiful 60s prom dress, right? With the boat neck and the cool pattern and the A-line, and turned it into that. And all you did with the other dress was just rip off the applique and turn into a turtleneck. It's what are you thinking, girl? It becomes the girl don't do it meme. It really does. And the class warfare, I'm going to call it warfare, is so funny to me because it's upper class. No, it's upper middle class, because Andy's not, like going to the food pantry every couple of days. She's not going to the soup kitchen. She's not in danger of getting evicted and being homeless. She's a middle class kid who like has an after school job and has a car. I didn't have a car in high school. And it's a cool car. Yeah, sure, it's got a dent in it, but it's pink. Like, I'm sorry. And considering that that it's 1986 and I think that car was in the 60s, like it's no different from like a kid nowadays getting like a 2006 Hyundai Elantra or whatever the fuck, right? And I love the fact that
the one that we're going to today. Wait,
I love the fact that Molly and John Cryer are the only two teenagers in the entire movie, because James Spader, hand of God, he is 26 and looks 26.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like he should be substitute teaching.
Yeah, when his first scene when he hits on her at the car, I'm like, why is this fully grown adult man hitting on this child?
Thank you. It's like nowadays someone would have their phone and go, "What are you doing, dude? Trying to groom? Get the fuck out of here!" PDF file. Like it's so funny to me how James Spader is at least 8 years older than everybody in this. Well, with the exception of Andrew McCartney, who was probably like 25 or something. I don't know. I know this is
not me over here thinking about the fact that this weekend I'm going to be watching 30-year-old Tom Holland play 23-year-old Peter Parker.
That's not a big deal, because Tom Holland looks like he's 17 years old. He's got one of those faces.
Yes, he does.
Like he's 12. Who cares?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like James Spader, it looks like he's in grad school. Okay. He looks like he's in grad school. He looks like he's a TA, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a fun fact about this movie, and you guys may or may not know this. So the original ending was that Andy, Molly Ringwald's character, and Ducky, John Cryer's character, were supposed to, end up together. And Molly Ringwald said, absolutely not. That is not who she is at heart. She deserves the happy ending. So If You Leave was written on the spot, and for the life of me, I cannot think of the band who wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, you're a dinosaur. Help me out.
If You Leave.
Yes, If You Leave. I'm sorry, but I'm back, bitches.
All right.
Oh no, that was fantastic.
If You Leave is by Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark.
Thank you. Yeah, I would not have been able to remember that. It's kind of garbage in, garbage out at that point.
Not in a million years would I have known that.
Well, it was probably in the recesses of my brain, but I've also tried it out with a lot of drugs, and thankfully I'm not doing that anymore. So, like, neuroplasticity is starting to come back, but that was garbage in, garbage out for me.
Let me ask you a question, Kat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Would you call Pretty in Pink peak Molly Ringwald? Like, this is this is her Avengers Endgame.
I don't know. Breakfast Club exists.
Yeah, but that was also a year earlier. You know what? This is a hard one, because this is also I feel like it's too simple to be like her Avengers Endgame. I think this is her at the most Molly Ringwald that she's ever been.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like I said, like, she reminds me so much of my sister. It hurts, not because both of them were bright kids, who were trying to get out of, or like trying to rise above their family situations, but like the clothing The Attitude, that's my sister. And it's probably why
Yeah, I was telling you that.
Robin has 2 master's degrees, teaches kickboxing,
All right,
and is an accountant.
Sean, what did you think of Pretty in Pink?
What I like most about John Hughes' high school centered movies is he knows how to inject them with whimsy, but not to the point where it becomes intelligence insulting, fairy tale, wish fulfillment bullshit. We've talked sometimes on the show about how just because something is made for kids doesn't mean it has to insult the intelligence of everyone in the room, including the children.
That part.
Sorry, unapologetic converted Swiftie bias here, but the big critique I've ever heard of her is, oh, she writes music for teenage girls. And I finally, when I became a Swiftie, stopped and thought about that. I kind of thought, wait a second, why are we treating that like a bad thing? Why are we treating that like that's somehow an ignoble pursuit? Why that should be considered less than? Do they not deserve something that lets somebody know that someone maybe a little bit older gets them? And that's kind of the way I feel about John Hughes. Are the plots ridiculous? Oh, yeah, absolutely, to a glorious degree. But at the same time, and this is where I also give a lot of credit to Molly Ringwald, too. And it's why I say that she may be a little bit of a one-trick pony, but it's a really goddamn good trick. Is her earnestness complements his so well at all times. Like when I think of teen movie actors of the 80s, when it comes to young women, 2 come to mind first and foremost above all, and that's Molly Ringwald and Jennifer Grey.
Mm.
Jennifer Grey is the one that can sometimes feel like a caricature. Again, all due credit to her. Fine actor, fine performer. But at the same time, it can feel a little more hammed up sometimes for the sake of needing to kind of play the brat.
Mm.
Molly feels at all times in almost anything she's in, whether we're talking about 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club, or even our other 2 movies, she feels so absolutely grounded, and she's changing things up, I've realized, after this triple feature, but doing it in such subtle ways that you don't really catch it unless you're paying attention. That's why I kind of say she's a bit of a one trick, is the fact that yes, she is the grounding, she is kind of the heart of the movie. That's the character she plays, but she plays it so goddamn well that you just can't help but appreciate it, and you can't even treat that necessarily like a knock. And yes, I do believe that a lot of John Hughes movies can get very samey after a while, but I don't think any more so than any other director. I don't think any more so than if you watch enough Kevin Smith, a lot of it starts to ring the same. You watch enough Quentin Tarantino, it all rings the same. You watch enough Steven Spielberg, J.J. Abrams, Christopher Nolan, George Lucas, what the fuck have you. After a while, the fingerprints just stand out a little bit more. But in this case, it's the mark of someone who, and this is what sets him apart from a lot of people who have made more recent teen movies that are a little bit closer to my generation and Cats. Like your American Pie, your Euro Trip. I'm sure you could name probably fucking dozens more. And that's the fact that those, after a while, felt like they were treating their target audience like they were fucking dumb shits. John Hughes did not do that. He gave you something to laugh at. He gave you some charm. Did he give you some stock characters that really probably shouldn't have flown then and wouldn't have flown today? Yeah, definitely. Let's call a spade a spade. But at the same time, for all these young performers he was working with, he got some real heart and believability out of them that wasn't just treating them like caricatures, like blatant on the nose stand-ins. Like a lot of other movies did anytime they were depicting any kind of youth culture. And I think that's what makes Pretty in Pink stand out so well. It is a clash of classes, but at the same time, it's not the fucking outsiders either. It's not the greasers and the socias going at each other with ball bats and switchblades. It's the real ways that kids clash. And I wanted to address the ending real quick before I kind of cast this off. And there's a reason why I put for my tag at the bottom, Blaine was the right choice. It's because I understand the compulsion that a lot of kind of misfits like us would feel to maybe want Ducky to be the one that won out in the end. But at the same time, I think John Hughes was ahead of his time enough to be willing to make a movie that said, this dork may be a nice guy, but this is the girl's story, and she doesn't owe him anything. She doesn't owe him a relationship. That's what sets him apart from a lot of the nerdy kind of TV sitcom icons that I grew up with. And what John Hughes did is, one way you could look at it, it's a superficial one, but it's a way you could choose to look at it, is that Ducky was kind of the proto-Urkel. The early rough alpha build Screech powers. The difference being, those two were characters that didn't respect the boundaries of the girls that didn't want them, but we were still always kind of being manipulated to keep rooting for them, when in reality, they were kind of incels before incels had a word for what the fuck was wrong with them. Ducky was not that. Ducky was still kind of treated by respect for the movie, but the fact was, the one who won out was the guy who was willing to step away from toxicity and possibly risk kind of being outcast himself in order to do right by the girl that he wanted. And frankly, I think that was the right choice all the way through, just the same way that the ending of 16 Candles kind of gets justifiably meaned on for just how fucking rapey that shit got. So,
I want to end the discussion of Pretty in Pink still on the phone. I think the enduring legacy of it is the entirety of the movie is, I think, identifiable, is relatable. That's what I was looking for. Relatable by just about anybody. I think a variety of girls on either side of the fence can relate to Andy. I think the class warfare stuff is relatable to people. I think that's something that people tend to internalize. Struggles with money and class status, and I think that's pretty universal. I think there's plenty of Duckies out there. I think there's plenty of Blaines out there. You know what I mean? I think that for as simple a movie as Pretty in Pink is, and it is fairly simple,
smarter than it gets credit for.
Yeah, definitely. It's widely relatable. And I want to say one last thing about Molly Ringwald, because this is really what this is about. Yes, you have to talk about John Hughes if you're going to talk about Pretty in Pink, but I want to keep a lot of the focus tonight on Molly Ringwald. And I think what makes her successful, and why I think the most identifiable movie for her is Pretty in Pink, is she is no matter, even though she goes on an arc, even though she has fault, even though she has things she has to overcome, at no point does she frustrate, I think, the audience. Certainly not me,
No.
as a viewer. I think the whole way through, you're either rooting for her, or you feel sorry for her, or you're happy for her when things succeed. She at no point, and a lot of movies really messes up with their main character, is in order for them to be at their lowest, they also seem to turn them into complete idiots, or basket cases, or any number of negative traits, and they don't do that with Molly. The writing for Pretty in Pink was really good, where Molly Ringwald all the way through is somebody who you want to see succeed, even at her lowest, even at her worst. So I Pretty in Pink is a solid movie. But let's get into the real reason I'm here. That's the pickup artist.
God, this fucking movie.
So this is one of those where part of what I'm doing in Triple Feature in the years of fun is I'm going back and I'm thinking about movies that I watched as a kid. Like, I'm kind of sick of a lot of the franchise stuff. I'm sick of Marvel. I've divorced myself entirely from Star Wars. Just a lot of the stuff that we're known for on here, I'm kind of bored with. So I was like, well, what else did I watch as a kid? Like, I know I watched more than superhero movies. There weren't that many of them back then. And I was like, oh, that's right. I watched whatever my parents were watching, or whatever was on HBO, or whatever looked like it had boobies in it. So I watched The Pickup Artist because that was Robert Downey Jr. at the height of his powers. And like I said, I remember being kind of mesmerized. Like, his line about, and I didn't realize it at the time, like, as a kid, I used to think Bohemian Rhapsody was Rapcity, because I didn't know the word Rhapsody until, years later. When he's talking about a Bolicelli or whatever it is, I think he's saying a bowl of cherries, and I was then thinking about the Bloom County cartoon where the kids are calling the teacher a tomato. So anyway, I was somewhat, even as a child, enamored of, pickup language. And, being complimentary, but in a totally sexist way towards women. It's a wonder I turned out the way I did. Anywho, so The Pickup Artist stars Robert Downey Jr., Molly Ringwald, and it's a tale of two movies. The first movie is Robert Downey Jr. Trying to pick up as many women as he can, and then he runs afoul of Molly Ringwald, and he wants his pickup stuff to work on her too, and it does. They sleep together, and the movie's over. Ta-da! Only having slept with her, having engaged physically with the witch, her spell is cast upon him, and now he rejects all women and only wants Molly Ringwald. And Molly Ringwald was like, last night was wonderful. Why are you still here? As my friend Pete once said. So, now Robert Downey was like, no, you don't understand. We slept together once, and I must give up my womanizing ways. I want to be with you, Molly Ringwald. And she was like, meh. Which brings us to the second half of the movie. Molly Ringwald's dad, who's played by Dennis Hopper, who I wish had been on glue like he was in Blue Velvet, would have made for a better performance. Hang on, the cat's trying to tell us something. Yes, Cat.
No, I just left and said, "Oh man."
Okay.
That's it.
So, he's in debt to the mob, who is Harvey Keitel, and what a surprise he was in this movie. And they owe the mob money. So Molly Ringwald took time out from trying to get her father out from his gambling debts to have a role in the back seat of the car with Robert Downey Jr. But now it's time to get on to business.
You do.
Like you do. And it's time to get on to business. And the business is she's got to get money. And so, what are ways to get money? Gamble. That's how you get money.
Got to get money.
Yeah. So she, takes what money she's got and she bets on the horses and she does this and she does that. Batman's head in a lance. And she's trying to pay off this debt. I can only describe what happens in this next bit as Harvey Keitel tries to traffic her. And she's not really wanting to be trafficked, as most people aren't. But but you might be asking yourself at this point, amongst the gambling debts being paid and the trafficking being pushed, where is Robert Downey Jr. in all this? And what does the angry metal guy think? Well, Robert Downey Jr. has decided that the best way to get Molly Ringwald to fall in love with him, because he is lovesick, is he will help her get the money to pay off the debt for the mortgage on the for the money for the mortgage on the farm. And he sells his car, and they do other things, and eventually that works. And then Molly Ringwald, in a very modern thing, says to him, "We can't be together, sir. We can't be together because we are too toxic and we are too terrible, and two terrible people together just equals more terribleness. We don't cancel each other out." And Robert Downey Jr. was like, "What the fuck was the past 90 minutes for then?" And she says, "The Aristocats." So so the next day, Molly Ringwald goes to Robert Downey Jr. and she says, "I am a woman and I have agency and I can change my mind." And he goes, "Okay then." And they end up together, and that's the pickup artist. Let me say this. Molly Ringwald this is the most mature performance I've seen this woman give until she turned into an elder lady. Like at the height of sort of Molly Ringwald mania, this is the most adult performance she gives. It's weird to see her like be an adult and sleep with Robert Downey Jr. in the backseat of the car, and trying to parent Dennis Hopper, because she's always parenting a man, a middle-aged male actor in these movies. It was interesting to see her do that as an adult woman as opposed to a teenage girl. But the subtle difference, I think, is interesting. I wish there had been more of that. I wish there had been more of Molly Ringwald kind of doing a Jennifer Aniston, what she would do later in life, or maybe the Angelina Jolie, where they're just adult busy business women doing busy business things, and she's having to deal with this womanizer, and kind of like a Mel Gibson, what women want kind of a thing. Like,
it was the 80s. They weren't letting women do that at that point.
I wish what I'm trying to tell you, dear love, is that I wish there had been more of Robert Downey Jr. pursuing Molly Ringwald, and Molly Ringwald going, no, I only wanted you for your penis, go away, and that had just been the movie. And I wish there had been more of Robert Downey Jr. womanizing women and not instantly falling in love with Molly Ringwald's vagina. It's just like, because we have to do the mob movie, their courtship goes way too quick. Like, their story ended after they had sex in the car, and then they kind of have to like bridge that to the second half. And I'm saying get rid of the second half. This movie is better if it's just Robert Downey Jr. Consistently pursuing Molly Ringwald, occasionally Molly Ringwald throwing him sex in the back seat somewhere, and then going, why isn't this leading to more? I want more. And she's like, because it's all I wanted from you. It would have been great, especially in the 80s. But no, instead we had to do the stupid mob angle, which makes no sense and ruins the movie.
Yeah.
I like their chemistry together. I like Robert Downey Jr. and Molly Ringwald playing off each other. I didn't get enough of it in this movie because it gets mucked up by all the mob stuff. The only thing I'm going to say before I'm going to go to Sean and then Kat. The only thing I'm going to say else is that everything about the mob stuff is bad, except for the performances, because Harvey Keitel is great in everything he does. And they asked Harvey Keitel to come in and be mean and be a mobster, and he's mean and he's a mobster. It's great. They asked Dennis Hopper to be a drunk. Dennis Hopper is a fabulous actor. He plays a drunk well. Like, that's it. That's all I got. And it's like, golly, the best stuff of the pickup artist is in the first 20 minutes. And after that, this is a fucking waste of a movie. This would have been better as like either a short movie or an SNL skit. Sean?
Harvey Keitel is Harvey Keitel. Dennis Hopper is lobotomized. If Tony Stark were to see Jack doing his thing, Tony would probably have to be stopped from putting a gun in his mouth. Holy fuck. This might have been bearable if Robert fucking Downey Jr. hadn't been so perpetually charmless throughout the entire thing.
Oh, you think he's charmless?
utterly the entire. He wasn't even an impressive pickup artist. With a title like that, I was expecting something hopefully more along the lines of Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn in Wedding Crashers.
Okay, I
At the
now
ve-
I
at the
see
at
where
the
you're going.
at the very least, fucking give me Will Smith in Hitch. This wasn't even Owen Wilson. This was Luke Wilson. This was lukewarm Luke Wilson. The Lukiest Luke Wilson. Just and that's the really sad part is that makes it that and the stupid fucking I don't give a flying shit mob angle utterly wastes really surprisingly promising chemistry between him and Molly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was delightful. Yeah, seeing Molly definitely branch out from kind of what had become sort of the John Hughes formula, I guess, to the point where it was kind of jarring to hear her say something to the effect of, what was it? Please shut up for 15 seconds. I'm going to come.
Best line of the movie.
I swear to God, don't you dare fucking ruin this for me.
Reminded
But
me of I think it's Ben Stiller and whoever he's sleeping with in one of his comedies where he's talking through the whole thing and the wife is like, for the love of God, shut up.
well, and I mean, speaking of crikey McFuck's Irish lunch truck, good God, the whole artist gag just got old so fucking fast. By the time Molly says something to the effect of, "Didn't you use that line to me already? Get some new material." I'm saying, you are now the audience insert character from this point forward, just from that one observation.
Yeah, I
Because
was really disappointed at 50 years old when I realized that's his whole shtick is to compare people to artists.
that's it. That's it. I mean, there's no George Clooney suaveness
Yeah.
about anything. There's no Antonio Banderas swarthy sexuality about it. There's nothing even quirky or witty about fucking goddamn anything. It's just this movie has happened. I'm glad it happened. I'm more glad that it's over. Next.
All right. Speaking of next, would you like to find a place to settle and chat with us, Kat?
Yes, I would. I'm going inside now.
Okay.
So, okay. Everybody's out there and they're all pulling it up, and I'm just like, all right, quiet time. Thank you for being understanding. I appreciate all of you, all two of you.
Of course.
So let me ask you a question before we get into this.
Yes.
I think the low-hanging fruit analysis of it is obviously, with everything that has happened since this movie came out, a man running up to you in the street and saying, you look like a Picasso crossed with a bowl of tomatoes, or whatever the fuck it is he says, it's not going to go over well.
So it's a Botticelli, I think.
Yeah.
Which is an artist from, I want to say, the Renaissance. So I get it, but it's also like, if you ever look at Botticelli's work, it's all very like curvy, zoptic women.
Yeah.
There's there's curves. There's
she kind of says that in the movie, doesn't she? She's like you're calling me a fat chick. Here's what I want to ask.
I think so. Yeah. Yes.
Here's what I want to ask.
Please, God, tell me there's an alternate take of one of these scenes where he says, anybody ever tell you look like a Jackson Pollock crossed with a Mapplethorpe?
Wow.
So I don't know how much you're on TikTok, but a lot of what's happened on TikTok in the last 2-3 years has been women complaining that men don't approach them. It's like the pendulum swung the other way.
Yeah.
Do you think this movie survives 2026 criticism for that reason now? If they did a better version than this one, if they handled a man approaching a woman better than this movie does, but with the same enthusiasm, do you think this movie survives 2026 culture?
Absolutely not, and I'll tell you why.
I would love to hear that.
Okay.
Okay. So, as a woman who's now 40, me personally, like, if you're going to approach me, please approach me like I'm a human being. Like, don't run game on me. Don't run lines on me. Don't call me a lesbian when I reject you, or a whore or a slut. Which I'm not saying that he did. Yeah, men are terrifying, I'm going serious, right?
Yeah.
And like, pickup lines don't work on me at all. I'll just laugh at them. Like, oh, clever boy. Yeah, no, this does not survive at all. As for the movie, when I first saw it as a teenager, I was like, I don't know, 15 or 16. I'm like, this is cute. That's all. This is cute. It's not the best movie of the 80s, but it's cute. Now that and that was with the 16-year-old eyes. And of course, Robert Downey Jr. is there, and I've had a crush on him for a very long time. And he's adorable in this. But he's also charmless AF. Like, I'm on Molly Ringwald's side. Like, it would be like a quick pump and dump in the back seat, and that's it. Right? Like, I know that is kind of gross to say, but whatever. Hate me all you want, but still.
No. I'm going to tell you a line that I say often to people in therapy. We used to have a thing in this culture. It was called casual sex. I don't know what happened to it, but I wish it would come back.
And come on, Kat, need I remind you which two men you're talking to?
No, I get that. No, I get that. The concept of a pickup artist grosses me out, especially because 20 years after that, there was a literal show on VH1 called The Pickup Artist.
Yeah, try looking for this movie when that exists. I confused the fuck out of
me. Oh, God.
Yeah. I think I saw maybe like a fraction of an episode. I'm like, this is disgusting. I'm trying to think.
Oh, yeah. It is repulsive.
Like, I need a palate cleanser. When's Rock of Love going to be on?
And you know what? Here's the thing. This actually might have worked if at some point Robert Downey Jr. had been that loathsome. At least it would have had somewhere to go.
It makes me.
What does it say about me that I looked at Robert Downey Jr. as very charming? Like, I had to look at it in the time that it was made in order for me to judge it appropriately, because judging it from one, I respect where you're coming from for the reasons you're coming from it, and this is not a rebuttal of that. My perspective was back then, running up to a woman and giving her asinine compliments. I don't know. Like I said, maybe this is one of those where I told Robert recently I don't have things anymore. Everybody has toys. And everyone gets mad when directors and writers break their toys. I don't have any more toys. The last toy I have left is The Wire. But I'm actually wondering now, if I go back far enough, I just don't have big toys. I have little toys like the pickup artist. And for me, I look at Robert Downey Jr. as the point that I'm making, and I go, that's fun. God, wait, what happened to men like that? Go ahead.
And don't get me wrong. Like, because it's okay. I'm going to amend my previous statement. Because it's Robert Downey Jr., yeah, it'd probably work on me, because he's got those, like, puppy dog eyes. And at the time, he's, like, 22, 23? He is so hot. So, yeah, that would work on me once. And then I never saw him again. Once. Yeah. That's basically it. But, like, I really wasn't paying attention to him. I was more paying attention to, like, Harvey Keitel and Dennis Hopper, Like, these seasoned ass actors who I love and respect. And you said that you wish that he was on Glue like he was in Blue Velvet. I'm kind of glad he isn't. I'm kind of glad that this character is grounded in reality. All in all, this is screwball comedy, like, with the exception of him, not grounded in reality. Like, this shit would never happen in a million years. I'd like to think that Molly Ringwald's character would be a little bit too smart for this, or at least not to keep engaging in this.
I'm going to throw another question at you, but this only works if you've seen the movie. So, yes or no? Have you ever seen the Bruce Willis movie Blind Date?
Yes, long time ago.
Rewrite the pickup artist and take the
I'm
mob
on
stuff
a
out.
podcast.
And rewrite the pickup artist and take the mob stuff out. Instead, insert Blind Date. And I think we have a winner.
Okay, why don't we just, then, by that logic, why don't we just chuck the pickup artist and just watch Blind Date and comment on it? Because, like,
no, I'm saying like that would. Well, wouldn't it be funny though if you have this very alpha, very macho, but puppy dog face Robert Downey Jr., right? Baby face Robert Downey Jr., and he's running up to all these women, and he's sleeping, with all these women. We have a long montage, a long first 10 minutes of him just being a Lothario, right? And then he runs afoul of Molly Ringwald, and Molly Ringwald's like, no, and finally they sleep together, and he's like, he's like, well, I love your vagina so much, but I want to take you on a proper date, and Molly Ringwald takes him on the Bruce Willis Blind Date date. And that's the second half of the movie. It's her torturing him. See, now that's a movie I want to see.
Another one. Well, I mean, so yeah, like I would. Don't get it twisted. That's a lot to take in. Give me a second. Hold on.
I'm gonna give you a breath, and we're gonna move on to For Keeps. Okay.
Well, okay, so I can answer this question, I think. But the fact. So now I want some sort of AI remake of Blind Date with Robert Downey Jr. That's what I was gonna say. Sorry, like okay. I couldn't think of the word for AI, but yeah, now I want that. I want it like everything, like everybody in the cast can stay, except swap out Bruce Willis for Robert Downey Jr. Ooh.
Okay, I got a better idea, Sean. I'm gonna pitch it to you. All right, Sean, you're the executive at Disney. Okay. I'm pitching you Blind Date, but it stars Iron Man. And the girl bringing him around is Brie Larson's Captain Marvel.
Now are we? Wait. Are we talking about like for Brie Larson in Captain Marvel or Brie Larson in Endgame?
Oof.
See?
Yeah, that's a tough one. All right. I got a better one. She-Hulk.
Oh
God, that could be so good.
Oh man,
Stark around town.
All right, so damn it! I wish that I was better with AI because I'd make that movie.
That's amazing. All right, let's get into For Keeps. So, For Keeps, Molly Ringwald is a senior in high school. She's with Schmagegi McGee, and they go on a trip together, a camping trip where they have sex and. Wouldn't you know it? Despite the fact that she's going to go to the University of Wisconsin to be a journalist, and he's going to go to the University to Caltech to be an architect, she gets pregnant. She lives with a single mom who's just the most bitter woman, not happy at all that their father left them, and she is not parentifying Molly Ringwald as such, as she's just kind of being a toxic mom pal. And she's like, we're going to go to Paris together. We're going to be buddies. And I'm not going to be really like your mom until it's convenient for me. So there's that relationship. And then he comes from a big, family. He's got a brother and a sister and kind of a working class mom and dad. And it's all working class, middle class values going on here. And what throws middle class values into a tizzy? Teenage motherhood. That's what. So she's pregnant, and they make this announcement. I believe it's at Thanksgiving, and there's upheaval there, and then they make amends, and there's Christmas, and there's more upheaval then. Then she has the baby, and this is really where the movie takes off. Now you have to watch a teenage mom and a teenage father try to, on their own, with no support from anybody else, right down to the father won't let him have his bed. I thought it was a really funny scene, especially with all the hatred towards boomers these days, though I guess this would be more silent generation.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point of it is that they have no support, they have no help, and they are trying to raise this baby in poverty by themselves. And we get, a dramatized, nope. They get a dramatic version of what that might look like. To some people, it's probably very realistic. To others, it's not that horrible, which I think is a big criticism in this movie. In any case, the kid takes odd jobs, like becomes a roofer. He does this, he does that. They still don't have enough money. She starts working in like fast food places and going to night school, and they're tired, they're overworked, they're poor. They end up having to move in with her mom, and of course the guy, having had his ego damaged on any number of occasions, finally says fuck this. Molly Ringwald comes to the conclusion that the best thing for the baby and the best thing for her and the best thing for him is for him to go to Caltech and just go live his life. This isn't working the way that it is, and he would be better off without them. So she calls Caltech and says, "Hey, if we can get him there, can he go to college there?" And they say yes, and there's no family dorm of any kind, so doing so means he's not with his family anymore. He finally has an epiphany. He is touched by the angels, and he decides, I don't want any of this. I want to be with my wife and kid. I will figure things out. He's had a whole movie to figure things out, but now he's really serious about it. So instead, I think the last thing that they end up deciding is that they're both going to go to college together. I think at the University of Wisconsin, but there's family dorming, so they can make this work, and that's where For Keeps ends. I'm going to save my comments for last, and I'm going to go back to you, Kat. You picked this one.
I did.
First, I mean, I think as an endpoint to Molly Ringwald mania, it was an obvious and good pick, but I didn't know that when you picked it. Did you? If not, why did you pick this movie?
I picked this movie because I love this movie.
Why do you love
like I said,
movie?
Because it's really grounded in reality. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes love is not enough. I mean,
very often love is not enough.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how many people do you know who were high school sweethearts who actually got married, had kids, and are together to this day? I know 2 of them. I guess 4 of them, because I know all. I know both people in those couples.
I know one. I know one guy I knew in high school who's married to his high school sweetheart, and they have kids together, and they're not divorced.
Right, and it also there's a quote in this movie where Molly Ringwald's character Darcy is in the bathroom, and the mean girl cheerleader Michaela comes in, and they're and her and
that moment,
one of her bitchy friends is saying, "I love it when smart girls do something stupid," or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
When smart girls get dumb, something like that.
Yeah. Oh, hold on 1 second.
While she's gone, let me interject with this, just some quick points, because I want to give her back her time when she comes back.
Sure.
I like this movie. It's fine. I think it's a little too harsh when people are calling it a after-school special. I think it's a little deeper than that. Back to you, Kat.
Okay, thank you. Yes, it's definitely... Here, you can come in. It's definitely a lot deeper than Boy Meets Girl. They fall in love. They have a baby. These are 2, like I said, really smart, really driven kids. The one... oh God, what is the guy's name? Is it Stan? Yeah. He's super smart. He's going to Caltech to be an architect. Darcy, Molly Ringwald's character, is going to be a journalist. I mean, these are honor roll kids who probably should know better. It's like, I know that you're on birth control, but God damn it, use a condom. I did.
Yeah.
Right. And also, I gotta tell you, why is in the opening credits just like the other, just like, oh God, what's that movie? Look Who's Talking. There is like the inside view of the sperm meeting the egg. What?
Yeah.
Like, was that a thing in the 80s? What is that?
Yes. We were deeply in love with the reproductive system and everything in it.
Right. But also, like,
not everything
like
in the 80s sucked, I guess.
Yeah. Like, these kids are not only smart, they are very resourceful. I mean, yes, they live in poverty, but I mean, eventually they find a way to be together and still go to college. Like, they don't have to be, like, they don't have to have their dreams deferred.
Right.
I mean, it might not look what they, like, it might not look what they thought it was going to look like, but, I mean, they're together. And I love when the dad comes around. I love when she kind of snaps out of her postpartum depression. And for somebody with postpartum or who has experienced postpartum, it is lonely and numbing and painful. And I mean, breastfeeding definitely did not snap me out of it. I'm glad that it did for her. But like I said, I love when the dad comes around. I love when he holds his granddaughter for the first time.
Yeah, it's a good scene.
Yeah, like I was pissed off at the dad, especially with Thanksgiving. And let me tell you, I'm pregnant. Can you pass the turnips is a great line.
Yes.
Like I wish I could. I seriously wish I could have announced my pregnancy like that, but that's, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I was really pissed off at the dad for calling her I don't think he calls her a hoe, but he definitely, like, insinuates that she's a hoe. Like she got pregnant by herself.
Yeah.
I hate the mom. I hate the mom in this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can be both a mother and a friend. Like, all she cared about was getting to Paris, which is why she tried to force her daughter into an abortion.
Yep.
That's all she cared about. She didn't care about college. But, at the end, she does come around. And it kind of makes you a believer in love and family at that point. I love this movie. There's a heart to it. Fun fact. The friend, Dan's friend?
Mm-hmm.
So he was supposed to have a larger part in the movie. Like, it was supposed to be his breakout role, but he was, like, drinking and driving and, like, slammed into, like, a brick wall.
Okay.
Yeah. So his part got cut down significantly, and it's the film debut of the Weasel, Pauly Shore.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes. Right. Not doing Pauly Shore stuff. Sean, what did you think of For Keeps?
I really liked it. And I think it's deeply unfortunate that gets compared with an after-school special just because it just happens to tackle teen pregnancy. Because, I mean, we talked about material that was insulting the intelligence of its audience, as a lot of things did in the 80s when trying to talk to kids and especially teens. That is exactly what after-school specials and very special episodes of TGIF sitcoms did. Is they were so reductive and dumbed everything down so much for the sake of a message that wouldn't get them canceled or get them boycotted. That's exactly what they ended up doing. And I will be one of the very first and absolute fucking loudest people to tell you that when it came to sex education in particular, that did us no goddamn favors.
Just dick all.
Yeah. Fuck you very much to the Reagan administration for that whole culture that we're still trying to claw our way out of now. But I like that if I had to sum this movie up in just a few words, it would be it's not that simple.
Mm-mm.
As in, there is no fairy tale ending here. Shit gets rough. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons I tell people I am married to one of the most inspiring women I could have ever come across is the fact that she, was a teen mom. And she will always love our kid's dad. I know that for very obvious reasons, but the fact is he was never prepared to be a dad. All likelihood he never wanted to be a dad in the first place. And so I've kind of seen the reality of, as Kat said better than I ever could have, love isn't always enough. You can't always fall back on that. It's why one of the surest ways to ruin a failing relationship to the point of just getting it over with is try to have a baby thinking it's going to fix anything. Let me know how that works out.
That part.
And it's absolutely funny. It's absolutely got loads of heart to it. But the fact is, Molly doesn't try to ham it up. Nobody in this movie really entirely does at any point. I mean, maybe a little bit for the sake of laughs, sure, but I mean, looking back now, were they really exaggerating that much in terms of in terms of everything that we heard growing up, everything that we saw from adults? No, I don't think it was much of an exaggeration at all.
Yeah, like I said, it was grounded in reality. And at the end, they figure out a way to still go to college. I mean, it might not be Caltech for Stan, but whatever, Like eventually, maybe he'll transfer to Caltech because merit housing was not available for freshmen, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't available for sophomores, juniors, and seniors.
But it's also realistic about the fact that everything comes at a price.
Yeah.
That they definitely would not give their baby up for anything in the world.
Mm-mm.
But it also doesn't sugarcoat pregnancy or motherhood.
Not at all.
Which, for something that came out when this movie did, I'm happy to say I was pleasantly surprised by that. Because, again, I had never seen this. I came into this completely blind. You can't watch that credit sequence without knowing where this is going.
Man.
And I saw that and I was kind of already rolling my eyes thinking I knew what to expect. Well played, movie. You kind of kicked me in the teeth on that one, and I'm actually proud of you for it.
This is an unsung hero of the 80s, and I've got a question.
Totally.
Yeah. I've got a question for Mark. Mark. So, were they really sending pregnant girls in high school to alternative schools? Because they didn't do that in my district.
Yeah, and before that, they
were
to nunneries.
Well, yeah, like I knew that.
Yeah, but I mean, like my mom. I have a older sister, half sister, from a
Okay.
pregnancy that my mom had with another man that was not my dad.
Uh-huh.
And my mom had to give her up for adoption by force.
Oh,
By
no.
my grandmother forced that on her. So yes,
Oh, no.
there was a point where they were forcing kids into alternative. The 80s were a weird time. They were forcing kids into alternative schools and all kinds of stuff.
Well, like, so I know that. So, okay. In 1998, there's a Lifetime a movie called 15 and Pregnant.
Yep.
It's, yeah. So it's got Kirsten Dunst and the chick from Wings. I can't think of her name. And she like that's in 1998, and she goes to an alternative school. Now, I came into high school at the tail end of 2000. I graduated in 2004. So, and we did have like a few girls that got pregnant in high school. They didn't go anywhere. Like, I've got a friend, and like that's enough. That is, blah, blah. So I've got a friend who got pregnant, graduated at semester, right? Like graduated in December. She was done with her credits, and then walked at graduation with her baby in her arms. Married. Yeah, she got married to her high school sweetheart. They have 5 kids now. Like that is a fairy tale ending if I've ever had one. But they also had some family support too, on both sides.
You're making me think of something in kind of a big picture way.
What's that?
Try to follow me here, because I'm not even entirely sure I know what I'm trying to say here. I'm going to try this anyway.
Yeah.
Particularly when I went to high school back in Mitchell, South Dakota, for the first 2 years.
Okay.
What I remember most were 2 things. Number one, like you said, alternative schools for pregnant teens. But the other one is, I also kind of remember that for general delinquency, where I grew up, the term for it was just called "you got sent."
I mean, we have that school too.
Which meant that, well, but in this case, it meant got sent meant you did something so fucking bad, or some combination of bad things, that they didn't just send you to another school. You got sent to a boot camp clear at the other ass end of the state in the Black Hills. And the ones who came back a little different sometimes.
Wait. Like the troubled teen industry? Fuck. God.
Well, yeah, I didn't realize it at the time, but now that I've kind of gotten older and there's kind of a name for it, yeah, basically, they would come back with, usually wildly different attitudes, shaved heads, just something about them was just very, very different. And I think about that now, and I kind of think, and I'm probably not one to judge here, because I came from a very different background. But it feels like when it comes to things like that, it feels almost like fostering a culture of abandonment for kids that kind of, for one reason or another, strayed from the family's ideal picture, the community's ideal picture. And again, I'm sure that's not very nuanced. I'm sure there's more to it than that. But at the same time, looking back on that now, I think I kind of understand why some kids come up feeling the way that they do about the world when they were acting out and the family's answer was just other ways to kind of shove them under the rug.
Right.
Out of sight, out of mind. They won't be a distraction, so to speak. But at the same time, I mean, goddamn, that's got to be kind of brutal.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know the suicidal tendency song "Institutionalized," right?
Of course.
Oh yeah.
All Mike wanted was a Pepsi.
That's the one everyone focuses on, but the end part is the really important one.
Yep.
Why are you sending me away and telling me that I'm broken? And why are you telling me that I'm broken and sending me away when I went to your schools and I went to your churches? Do you have no responsibility for the way I turned out? I want to talk about two things with this movie.
Okay.
I will sometimes use stuff from my life to do as an example. I don't really like to talk about my life, but especially my career, only because people are terrible and may do harm to me. But I'm going to take a risk here. When I do couples therapy, which is something I very much like to do, and it's become inspiring work for me and something that I'm very proud of and something that I really enjoy doing. One of the things I say to couples, first, I ask them what's going on in their world, and they'll tell me, and then I'll say, what was it like when you guys were dating? How were you drawn together? Because how did you go from that to what the hell you are now? And and they'll kind of lay out for me their the game tape for me to examine. One of the most common things I see is people getting together, people moving in, people getting married, people having kids, and having no conversations about what all that means. People don't know what a marriage is, for example. They think it's you fall in love, you move in, you have a ceremony, you shove cake in another one's face, and voila, that's a marriage. It's not. Marriage is a business contract. No. Running a house, having a marriage or any kind of cohabitation is a business. You are running a business. And if you don't talk like people who do actually run businesses about how you're going to run your business, what kind of business this is going to be, then your business will run poorly. When people have kids, look, we all know how to have kids. We all have kids to one degree or another. We don't always think and talk about what that means. And if you don't, when the rubber meets the road, so to speak, you end up having to adjust on the fly, if at all. And these are the things that cause strain.
You're not going to go to the meeting?
It's going on too long.
Okay.
These are the things that cause strain in the relationship. And you don't realize it until after it's happened. I tell people, young and old, you have to sit down and actually plot this stuff out. What is the division of labor going to look like? What does who is bringing what? Who is doing what? And when you try to do it on the fly, if you're really, really good at it, it could work. But most often people aren't. They don't know what they're doing. When the thing about For Keeps is these are not bad people. And did they make, they did something that people do. And yeah, this happens. Sometimes with every precaution, with every thought had about it, forethought, shit happens. And what are you going to do? You call Ghostbusters now. Then you have to adjust. But they're never given time or any wisdom or mentoring because both sets of parents are shitty in different ways. So instead of sitting them down and saying, hey, we have the dad's parents, we have fairly functional marriage here. We've had 3 kids. Our system seems to work. Here, let's give you some advice and on how to handle your relationship and support. No, they shun them because you brought it up, Sean, and I didn't want to interrupt you. I figured I'll just wait for my turn to speak. But what you're talking about is that I don't want to just lay this on a generation, so I won't just say it's boomers or it's silent generation. But there are family systems that are very much concerned with their facade.
Oh, yeah.
They're very much concerned with keeping up the illusion of functionality, of contemporary picturesqueness. And anything that's going to puncture that in any way has to be hidden away. It has to be shunned. It has to be hidden. It has to be removed from this so it does not, plague everyone else. Okay, it does not disrupt the illusion. That becomes more important than anything else. And then everything that flows from that is kind of what this movie talks about.
Yeah.
By the same token, the mom is so, and this kind of goes into the next thing I want to talk about. The mom is so wounded. The mom has such an egregious injury by what happened with her and her husband, which I don't think the movie talks about enough, by the way. But I think it's one of the failures of the movie is that the movie kind of treats the mom as a villain and then only gives her a little bit of sympathy towards the end, and then it's abandoned just as quickly. But it's such a root cause of everything that this mother does that it needed more exploration. This woman is so wounded, so injured by her husband leaving them that, one, in a very ham-handed way, is taking it out on all men, but also is clinging and meshing herself to her daughter. And then it's no wonder her daughter rebels and ends up having a baby out of wedlock, because it's one of the few things on earth that can separate herself from her mom, who was now also again wounded by the fact that her daughter did this to her. Because again, her daughter didn't just have a baby. Her daughter hurt, from this mother's perspective, the daughter hurt the mom and possibly did it purposely, just like her dad did. I watched this movie. Somebody was asking me recently, like, do you like to watch psychology television shows, like, In Treatment,
Mhm.
or something way stupid. Oh gosh, there was like a very broad comedy that had to deal. Oh, Anger Management. That's what it was. I fucking hate Anger Management. I do this for a living. I'm halfway good at my job. Some would say full good. And I take it seriously. I take mental health seriously. And when I see, and I don't like to watch fictionalized version of what it is I do for a living. One, because it's never handled well, and two, I really don't want to think about work when I'm done. Now, do I treat a lot of the stuff I watch with a psychologist? I can't help it. I'm a social worker. I think in systems. And if you don't believe me, ask everything I've ever asked the Chat GPT to tell me about myself through my transcripts, and it'll say, "Oh boy, does he think in systems?" Yes, cat. Shit. Yes, cat. One more time. Oh, unmute yourself. I can't unmute you for some odd reason.
That's fine. So it's amazing that you gave your perspective on this from, from a therapist point of view, because I'm learning all of this in group therapy, in individual therapy here. And you do make a really, 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 really good point. I mean, we talk a lot about like dysfunctionality within like a family system, and how things tend to get swept under the rug because everybody has to mask up.
Yep.
Either for outward appearances or, because there is a member of the family who is in active addiction, who is mentally ill, so on and so forth. So this really hits very close to home with me right now. And when you started talking, I almost teared up because I'm like, yes. So thank you.
Thank you for saying so. I'm glad what I said resonated with you, but
it really did. Yeah.
I don't hate this movie. I think it's fine. I think the things that it talks about are important. I think Molly Ringwald does, and this podcast should be about her. I think Molly Ringwald brings an earnestness to all three of these roles that I think is sorely missing from lead women actresses today. Everyone has to be like a boss babe, or everyone has to be a dysfunctional, neurodivergent, mess. And it's like, here is Molly Ringwald, who's just bringing the insecurities that one holds normally, the anxieties that one holds normally. Just lived life experience, even if you're a youngster. That's Molly Ringwald. And it was nice to see it in these three movies, it's especially good in For Keeps. I often say that sometimes that people make decisions in movies that don't make any sense and don't jive with the narrative. Her getting to a place, her having survived. I mean, the inciting incident that gets them to leave the apartment to go to the mom's house is the dad falls asleep on the kid and the kid's sick. So the kid's screaming her head off, and the dad, having no brains, is like, kid, babies cry. As if there aren't, if you've ever had a baby, there is the I'm hungry cry, the I'm tired cry, the I don't know what I want cry, and the I'm dying cry.
Yeah, the uncomfortable cry.
Yeah. And any good parent who's paying attention knows the difference. It's like hearing pitches in music. And so he don't know the difference. And so he's just sleeping it off. And he's also abusing alcohol, I think, during this part of the movie. So she's like, okay, well, we can't stay here because you have violated the covenant of parents. You have violated the covenant of man and wife by, laying down on the job and nearly letting our baby die. So we got to go to where I can go with a trusted person. So they go to the mom's, and he's just like, in his defense, he's suffering personality wound after wound after wound after wound, and to the point where he's becoming unbearable. It's, I'm trying to think of which horror movie monster this reminded me of, but it's just like you're just puncturing him and puncturing him, puncturing him, and finally this gross punctured bloody thing now exists, and it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? And that's what he becomes, and that's what she realizes, and she was like, all right, like, this isn't working. Like, I don't want to not have a husband. I don't want my baby to not have a father, but you're not any of those things right now. You're a gross monster. So go. Yeah. Go live your life stream. And he's so shamed by that he's like, shit. Like, he looks in the mirror, sees that he's become a monster, hears what she has to say, and goes, I can't live with myself. I will do better. Not the most unrealistic thing I've ever seen. Go ahead, Kat.
I mean, basically, she sacrifices a husband and a father so that he can go do what he's supposed to do what he's been made to do for however long that he's been alive. 17? He's 18 years old at this point?
Yeah.
Like, his father has been pushing him the entire time. Go to Caltech, go to Caltech, go to Caltech. I didn't get to go. You have to go, right? So that was like...
Nothing like a little pressure.
Exactly. So, we've got the dad living vicariously through the kid. We've got the fact that he can't, he's gotten into Caltech. Like, he is fulfilled, he has passed that quest. But then he finds out, guess what? You have to go on your own. You have to leave your wife and your child. Can't go. And people talk about Molly Ringwald in this movie. Randall Battenkoff, the guy that plays Stan, does not get enough credit. He's great in this. Like, he feels, he also feels very grounded in reality, except for the fact that he's 18 and getting beer. I don't know what the drinking laws were in Wisconsin at the time.
They put it in the fountains.
Oh, okay. It's like fluoride.
Exactly.
But right. It reminds me of that poem, What Happens to a Dream Deferred.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But and you're right. He does suffer wound after wound after wound after wound. He can't go to Caltech. He can't properly support his family. He can't keep the utilities on.
If you would like a sort of visual representation of what this man goes through, every bad thing that happened to him is an arrow, and he is Boromir.
Yeah, poor guy. But I mean, also, poor you. I'm gonna say, get your shit together, but I can't because he's 18 years old. He's just he's an adult in name only. He's still a child.
You realize,
and so is she.
The human brain is still developing into your 20s.
Oh,
one of the things I tell my kids, as permissive as I am about drugs in the general culture, I am a big advocate of decriminalizing drug use and getting harm reduction models in place instead of imprisonment. But that's enough about that.
Same.
One of the things I tell my kids all the time, I was just like, don't smoke pot and don't drink. Not because of the reasons you think, but because your brain is still developing.
Yep.
You're going to damage your brain by putting illicit substances into it. Drugs, take two. Pot and alcohol under a certain age damages your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to be successful. And it's not that I'm worried about you being addicted, and I'm not worried about all the other stuff that people worry about when it comes to drugs. I don't want you to brain damage yourself. Life's hard enough. Life's hard enough. There's no reason to give yourself a handicap. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Sorry. I was going to say, that's a really good point because, given the journey that I've been on, I sometimes catch myself thinking, in my teens or in my 20s, when it was obviously still very illegal, if I had tried weed, would it have maybe helped me to kind of mitigate all of the neurodivergence and mental illness that wasn't being dealt with, that I wasn't even being conditioned to see as a problem? But then at the same time, I think about the fact that in my early 20s, I discovered energy drinks, and in around 2002, 2003, I started drinking them about anywhere from 2 to 4 to 6 cans a day to mask the fact that I didn't realize my depression was worsening and I wasn't sleeping. I think about that, and I think, knowing how you've dealt with that and how that has continued to be a problem for you today, do you really think, Sean, that you having ready access to weed at that point in your life wouldn't have become problematic?
So I smoked weed for 25 years. From 2001, so from April 20th, 2001, when I was 15 years old, and my sober date is March 29th, 2026. So I've got 124 days sober, and that's off of everything.
Hang on. How many days sober do you have?
124 days. Thank you. I'm at 4 months and 1 day at this point, because I clocked it. So, having burned out my prefrontal cortex, my therapist and neuroscientist would be very proud of me using that term. I lost a lot of neuroplasticity. I lost a lot of able to form new patterns of behavior, new healthier patterns of behavior. And also, I was a very anxious kid who became an anxious teenager, who became a depressed and anxious adult. Actually, no, scratch that. I was a depressed and anxious kid who became a depressed and anxious teenager, who became a depressed and anxious adult. So I self-medicated for a very long time, not only with marijuana, but also with Xanax and opioids, like Vicodin, Percocet, codeine, things like that, so I could quiet down the voices up in my head that were telling me that I was a piece of shit and deserved to die. Those were the voices going on in my head. And I was really good at masking, right? I was the best at masking. In front of most people, until I've completely burnt myself out, until I completely had a nervous breakdown and had to go. I had to pack my bags, get on an airplane, and fly 1,900 miles to the West Coast. And I came out here for a mental health. It took about a week or so to realize that I was an addict. I'm an addict. Okay. I can't, it's so weird to say that to you guys because I mean, you guys saw me like hit my vape pen like it was, like it was a cigarette or like a drinking straw. Uh, I was I was self-medicating on it and seeing somebody else, especially poor Stan, like drinking beer because he's so depressed. Like it's like, dude, it's gonna be okay. Stop this. Like you're going to die if you keep, drinking drinking this much. In the last 5 or 6 years, I've lost 5 people to drugs and alcohol abuse. I lost one while I was out here. My friend Phil uh, was a drinker. It got really bad after his daughter passed from fentanyl, and he went to sleep one night and didn't wake up. Like I unfortunately know that some people who I am in groups with, who I've become very close with, are not going to make it. And I keep my fingers crossed that I'm going to make it. So
I appreciate you sharing all that, Kat. I'm going to say this related to the Stan thing. I was recently asked if I regretted we were talking about piercings and tattoos. And just as an aside, so you know where the conversation came from, way back, like over a year ago,
okay.
my daughter wanted to get a septum piercing, and I said, no, there will be no facial piercings until you turn 18. Then if you would like to mutilate your body, I can't stop you.
Mom said the same thing to me.
But so long as you are under the age of 18, you will not mutilate your body. And there was a whole conversation about like piercings and everything. And I don't want to get into it because it's not really part of the discussion. But I was sharing that story, which then led to, what about your tattoos? Like, you don't have piercings. You clearly have a very vocal opinion about them. What about your tattoos? I'm like, I regret my tattoos. I got them when I was young. I was a different person then. I wish I hadn't. And there's a whole other speech I could give about that, but I'm not going to because it's not really appropriate for the podcast. But while you were talking, I kind of think about what you were saying. I thought about that conversation. I thought about Stan, and I thought, the reason why I tell my kids don't drink and do drugs before you're in your 20s is because, again, I know I drank a lot when I was a kid. I drank when I was in my 20s. Drank a lot, later on in life. I went through periods where, I was straight edge, and there were periods where I was a drunk. There were periods where I drove drunk. There were periods I drove high. It's amazing I'm alive. It's amazing I didn't kill anyone. But,
yeah, I was a prolific binge drinker in my early 20s. Like I could put it away, and I thought, so I get it.
That's what goes to like the idea of regret is I wish I hadn't done any of those things. I was too young. This is the point. I was too young to handle the responsibility of things that you need to be older and wiser to handle. And that's ultimately the thing I'm trying to get across to my kids and what nobody was getting across to Stan. And so I'm going to add this. I said it before, but it bears repeating so that people don't understand, like this is a lot of sharing. This is all very wonderful, but what does it have to do with the movie? The problem with Molly Ringwald and Stan's, I don't remember the actor's name, but Stan is they don't have mentors in this movie. They have one family hanging on desperately to an illusion, and they have a mother hanging on desperately to her own personality disorder.
Yep.
So there's nobody coaching them. There's nobody mentoring them. There's nobody giving instruction. There's nobody parenting. And so they're having to kind of figure it out on the fly while also trying to figure out, with no education and no job skills, how to pay for things. And that's truly, like, for me, the value of For Keeps. Because whether, you've had this experience but it wasn't this bad, or you've had this experience and it's fucking worse. You know, I know people who they're single moms, they have multiple children, and they're living in hotels.
Yeah, me too.
The underneath all of this is the absence of mentorship. Underneath all of this is the absence of parenting, is the absence of somebody there who's more concerned that you do better than they do.
Yeah.
And so, Sean, was there anything else you wanted to add, or are we just about done?
No, I think that's about it. I mean, you know, while we're all talking about kind of addictions and everything, I will say that I did discover something recently. And you talk about kind of how you kind of process some things differently at one age versus another.
Mm-hmm.
I've known people in their 20s who, when I explain what I'm about to, would probably see this as some kind of superpower. I see it as a reason why I'm all of a sudden being much more careful about what I put into my body. I really kind of took stock recently of how certain substances affect me.
Mm-hmm.
And the realization I came to is that to get kind of as intoxicated or hyperactive or hyper awake as some people I think want to be when they use these substances, I individually have to really consume a somewhat unsettling amount of them.
Mm-hmm.
Weed would probably be the exception. I still get plenty high when I smoke or when I take an edible.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking more so about it takes a lot to get me to that point where physically I feel so shitty afterwards that it's my body sending a message to me. For some reason, my body does not send that message. I can put down a lot of alcohol and still be very much still in control. Not saying I'll be safe to drive or anything, but I will not be an out of control spiraling drunk without having to consume enough alcohol to probably put me in immense physical danger. But the problem is my body would not send that message until I get to that, probably until I get to that point of no return. It's the same thing with my caffeine tolerance. I'm not saying it doesn't get me up. I'm not saying it doesn't make me more alert, but you know, I told you how many 16-ounce energy drinks I was drinking a day when I was in my early 20s. The more I've reflected on that, that's kind of why I've cut back so much lately. And again, here I at 43 see that as, wow, I can't exactly count on my body to necessarily send the right biosignals at all times when I'm really overdoing it. I really better be more conscious of this myself and recognize where my line is. Versus, I think if I were in my 20s, when I was still deliriously amused by my ability to put down a case of Mountain Dew and a full large stuffed crust extra pepperoni pizza by myself.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I would have been an asshole and I would have probably created more problems for myself. So yeah, I mean, something for everybody to think about is that veil of indestructibility of your teens and 20s. It's hard to ignore. Do your best to ignore it. Please try.
So, as
You are
somebody
very
who,
human.
yes. So I quit binge drinking at 23, and I would have maybe a drink a month after that because I was just I was done with it. However, realizing that I'm an addict and also knowing my family history, both genetic and epigenetic,
Mhm.
when I get back out into the real world, I'm not picking up alcohol because I know how I am.
I'm
It's
deeply
just not in
relieved
the
to hear that.
cards. It's not in the cards. Um, like Joe Perry, the guitarist for Aerosmith, was interviewed
Yeah.
For the Decline of Western Civilization 2, the metal years. Him and also Steven Tyler were interviewed, and they were newly
Ooh.
sober at the time. Yeah, they were newly sober because this movie came out.
Wow.
This movie came out in 1988, so it was shot in 87. They had gotten sober maybe a year prior, maybe 2 years prior. And Joe Perry says, I was really hoping to like have a couple of drinks on the porch as an old man, but I used all those up. It's just not in the cards for me. It's not in the cards for me anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Well, we all wish you the best in your therapeutic and
absolutely
substance abuse journey there, Kat.
This has been so good for me. I can't even it's a fucking miracle. My life has been saved.
Good. Well,
good.
That was a fun conversation. God, boy, not since Pat and Jason went story time for story time while Pat was drunk. In our conversation about you, have we had a very interesting conversation at the end of a podcast? And it was nice. Nice to have it. It was nice to hear how well you were doing.
Wait a minute. Conversation about who? Me?
No, the show you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me be clear. Capital Y, capital O, capital U. First season of You.
I forgot about that show.
Yeah, so did I. All right, that's the end of our Molly Ringwald focus on the pickup artist, Pretty in Pink, and For Keeps. This Monday on Damn You Hollywood, we are reviewing Brand New Day, Spider-Man.
I can't wait to see that.
Shay Tate
this weekend. I'm seeing you with Alexis.
Shay Tate is back on Thursday. Shay told me I'm going to go every other month because when you make me do once a month, it feels like homework. And I'm like, all right, Shay. Well, Shay Tate is wonderful. Fallen angel, Shay Tate.
Love Shay.
We're going to look at Michael, which has joined the Billionaires Club, Bohemian Rhapsody, and The Doors. I was talking to Robert on Monday when we were reviewing Evil Dead Burn, and I was like, there were two directors we have completely neglected to look at in the years since they started doing triple features and specifically director focuses. One was Quentin Tarantino, which we're going to be correcting at some point later in the year. The other one's Oliver Stone. How the fuck have I never done any Oliver Stone on here?
Have you not done the Vietnam trilogy?
Yeah, I think some of this stuff got scheduled and then it didn't happen for whatever the reasons were. But I know, the only Oliver Stone movie I think I've ever reviewed is Any Given Sunday, and that was because we did football movies. One Black History, I think it was. There was a me and Jason thing, but yeah. So I love The Doors. It's been me too. Since I've seen it. I'm a huge Oliver Stone fan.
I have it on DVD. No,
all right.
I've got a Blu-ray.
Kat will be with us again in 2 weeks. We are going to be looking at the first season of the Netflix show Bonding.
Yeah, I got to watch it.
And then she'll be back the following week for an on trial for just the first Bring It On. After we had done it, somebody else had asked me, can we do a long road tour and all the Bring It Ons? I'm like, no, I'm not doing one theatrical.
No.
No.
Straight to DVD.
No.
Absolutely not.
So Kat and I will be doing an on trial for Bring It On. And then at the end of the month, we will all reconvene here for a Gary Marshall triple feature. We'll be doing The Flamingo Kid, which you have to find on some Russian site, Pretty Woman, and Beaches. That'll be fun. Triple feature, the podcast where we review shit we don't review anywhere else.
Why did I agree to? Why did I agree to the Gary Marshall triple feature? Did you put me on?
You may have been drafted.
Yeah, I think you did. You're a chick. You want to watch Beaches again and cry?
Listen. Before you continue that line of logic, I do to you what I used to do to Alexis, but Alexis fucked me. Alexis was like, "I'm not really a girl. I'm a dwarf in sheep's clothing." I don't know what she says to me, but she's like, she won't do romantic comedy. She won't do girl stuff, and I got tired of it. So now all of that I give to you, Kat.
Oh, you know what? Honestly, I'm honored, and it's not usually my genre, but I know a lot about it. I prefer. Well,
I have faith in you. I have
Thank you.
faith.
Thank you.
You're going to bring a lot to these conversations. You're my resident girl now. Okay?
Yeah, that's why I was drafted by Dorian, by the way.
Right. That's right.
When I got that phone call, it was a year ago, like a couple of days ago. Like he gets me on the horn. I've just come back from dinner. I'm stuffed, and he's like, "Hey, I need you for the
Toxic Avenger
thing." And I'm like, "Sure." I was honored. And he goes, "This is the reason why I didn't ask Nick, is because you have tits." It's like, yeah. No, like it was.
He's not wrong.
Hi, but no, like I was on the phone and I looked down and I'm like, oh, I do. I wasn't offended because I knew what he was talking. Like I knew what he was talking about. There needed to be a female perspective. And he's like, "You're a bubbly blonde with big boobs. Like, let's do this." I'm like, "All right."
Yep.
And I'm so glad that I agreed to it, because like this is one of my creative outlets, and this is something that I'm so proud of. And I'm so proud of this episode because I was so nervous because this is the first episode I did sober.
Okay. We're happy.
Yeah, you did great. You did fantastic.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anything you would like to plug before I go over to Sean? You can just say no.
I'm on Instagram. It's Kitty_Benton on Instagram. I'm getting back into social media now.
Mm-hmm.
I would say everybody who is in recovery, recover loudly to keep others from dying quietly. Okay,
And
you guys
Andy
are fucking
the
worth it.
Anarchist says, "Cheers to sobriety."
That's my dude. Andy is my dude. He's awesome. He's a sober friend I met out in LA. We've gone to Hollywood Boulevard. We've gone to the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. He is. I saw Judy Garland's grave. I saw Kathleen Freeman's urn in her niche. Andy is the shit. Shout out to Andy the Anarchist. I love you. I am ridiculously happy out here. So thank you guys for having me again.
Of course.
And 2 or 3 more times for the month of August. Sean.
Yes!
Tell us where you twitch and shout.
Tomorrow morning, I am going to be on Twitch at 10 a.m. We're going to be streaming. Going to be a single player game. Going to give Overwatch a little bit of a break. Mostly because we've had some online connection issues that have gotten me some lengthy suspensions, and I'm not trying to get my account canceled. So I'm kind of letting those kind of phase out for a little bit. I think we're actually going to be playing Grim Fandango Remastered. Because I'm really going deep into my backlog and wanting to play some more single-player games. So, yeah, probably 10 a.m. tomorrow until whenever. And for the near future, I'm trying to get it on a steady schedule where that's when I'm streaming Monday and Friday. With the way we've had some kind of household financial upheaval over the last couple of days, and I'm adjusting some things. Ann and I are putting a lot more of our energy into not just, our jobs, but into trying to kind of put some energy into our side hustles to see if one of those can maybe turn into something. So, and one of those, in a roundabout way, kind of a double-edged sword, is streaming. I'm going to be trying to stream more regularly, but at the same time, I'm also trying to make sure that for the time being, I'm keeping it reasonable so I can also continue to perform well at my job and finish my education. So
I'm really proud of you.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. In the meantime, if you want to keep up with me elsewhere, I have actually been most active recently on Threads. I'm at Comer Codex. Fair warning, if you're easily sociopolitically offended, stay away. Just don't bother. Because if you give me shit, I'll just block you anyway.
Yeah.
And I also pop up pretty frequently on Instagram as well. Exact same handle.
Really quick, I do have an announcement. I mentioned it to the folks I normally podcast with, Alexis, Robert, Jesse. I don't think you guys know. I started doing the essay style podcast TikToks when I
like those. Yeah.
When I quit the jail job in May.
I noticed that. Yeah.
So it's been over a year now, and a couple of weeks ago, I did a TikTok on our Watchmen comic strip and Alexis and I's review of the Watchmen TV show. It got over. It is still going. People are still viewing it. It has currently over 130,000 views.
Jesus!
And it got me into the TikTok Creator Fund.
Oh,
dude!
Dude!
Took me a little over a year, but I did it.
Congrats!
I'm not one of these people. Thank you. I'm not one of these people.
Mark, I'm so fucking proud of you right now.
Thank you. I'm not one of these people who's like going on TikTok to be like, I was in the Creator Fund and this is how I did it. But because I think those are a lot of baloney. But I tell you, fucking hard work, dedication, consistency, endurance, and the ability to see what you're doing wrong and try something else. And it paid off. So I'm proud of myself. I didn't think I'd ever get there.
You're right.
You know, over 10,000 followers and like over 1 million views, and there you are, and it happened.
Hell yeah.
So, recently I had a second one where recently I did one on Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, and poor Robert Winfrey was like, "You buried me in that one." I'm like, not so much, but that's over almost about 50,000 views. So
nice.
I am doing something that I enjoy, something that I'm pretty proud of, and it gives me another outlet, you know, to kind of use these podcasts as sort of a laboratory, and then put together a more, you know, more straightforward product on TikTok. Though they're getting to be about 20 minutes now. I gotta like pull them back a bit. But yeah, I'm really having a good time with it. I'm proud of myself, and I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm at Mark Radulich on TikTok. Every time we do one of these podcasts, I compress it and turn it into an essay, and then I read it aloud. I've also, like the Watchmen one being a really good example of this, I've also been going back to the archive and grabbing, Sean, you saw the Spider-Man one. You know, I took some reviews of Spider-Man that Sean and I did, some Damn You Hollywood, some comic book reviews, and mixed them up, remixing them, and putting them out as TikToks. And people seem to be enjoying them. Yeah, that's where the Watchmen one came from. That seems to be a formula that people are enjoying, and I like doing it. So with that said, with all of that rambling, for Kat, who is sober and wonderful, and we're glad she's back. For Sean, who is sober and wonderful, and we're glad he's back. I'm
sober.
Sure.
I'm funny. Be well, be safe, and behave.
Behave.